Welcome to our class today. If you are practicing life, of course, we are in the full moon day and night to come. And with this, I've prepared kind of two sequences that both are well aligned with the full moon. And hopefully that helps our bodies a little bit to adjust to these massive energies that are present today and tonight. And I guess some of us might have felt them already. While the full moon is always a nice opportunity for cleansing and being mindful, I've also chosen to focus on what it means to detach from anything material, as I thought the opportunity fitting. So with that, there's no props really needed. I've only got a block here and a standard blanket. To start with, we'll start lying down on the backs. So if you would like to do that, find your way there. You might use a thin cushioning under the head. Then you might step your feet down onto the floor. If you like to use a bolster, please do. And if you would like to add a bit of openness into the hip area, you could come to a reclined bound angle, touching the soles of the feet together and letting your knees fall out to the side. If you like support underneath the knees, the bolster lends itself, or you might choose, if it's one side or two, to place blocks underneath. Just making sure that this posture that you might have attempted here lying is actually providing you with a sense of comfort as well as a potential sense of opening through the hips. While the moon is associated with water, so is the pelvis. As oftentimes we see our pelvis when we're practicing as a container of water. We're even sometimes visualizing that in our alignments. So there's a bowl of water sitting there, and when we tip it, the water spills out, whereas we would like to keep it contained. You might ask yourself as you settle into the shape, what is present for you right now? Is there anything related to the full moon that comes up for you? Don't stress if you've got no relations to it or even slept well. And then become aware of the physical body itself. Perhaps there are areas where you're holding on. Even our own body is in that sense of the material world. Sometimes we hold on because we're protecting ourselves from discomfort or pain. Other times we cling to comfort. See if the shape that you have attempted is right for you in this moment. Perhaps just that feeling of being okay, rather than attached to a particular sensation or outcome. And just because it is so beautifully full, I would like to begin with Samavriti. We'll start slow with Samavriti 1, then move on to 2. So the box breaths eventually. You might begin to start deepening your breath to get comfortable with the sensations of breathing. And if you're comfortable with counting, then begin to count your exhalation to 4. And then breathe in for a count of 4. And then keep that flowing for a while, exhaling for 4 and inhaling for 4. The pace of the count, I will leave that deliberately up to you. See if you can find a rhythm of evenness. Again, nothing else that to look for, but keeping the breath even and exploring whatever might arise in that sense for you. Those of you challenged with breath retention or holding the breath, you might like to stay with this Samavriti 1, the even exhalation and inhalation. Others might like to add the pauses to turn it into the full version of this box breath. As you still inhale and exhale for 4, you might add pauses after each for a count of 4. The count is too long, please measure after the exhalation. Shorten it, but shorten the other hold as well. So keeping holds even and breath itself even. If you are practicing breath retention, you may also visualize the box in front of your closed eyes and tracing the sides with each component of the breath. Up perhaps on the inhale, holding across, down on the exhale, holding to return. The complete box that you're breathing along. Perhaps allowing yourself a few rounds. After your next exhalation, let go of the technique or reflect for a little while. You might have in this time let go of even the awareness of the physical body. But you might find back some sensations. There could also be changes in your emotions, mind, breath itself. But then use your hands to help your knees to come back up if they were out to the sides. Step the feet down and perhaps wiggle them apart. So to drop the knees inwards then. If you have stuff going on in your neck at this moment, and you have something underneath the head, you might create a little roll underneath the neck, whether that's a cushion or a blanket. If the hands are on the body, you might let your arms fall out to either side before separating the knees. Perhaps you enjoy keeping the feet this wide. As you begin to carefully roll the head to a side as you inhale, then center it on the exhale. And roll it to the other side on the inhale, centering again at the exhale. You might repeat that a couple more times to each side, just rolling the head, starting to mobilize, perhaps with a roll underneath, even massaging the neck lightly. You could then start to roll the knees as well. If you feel more comfortable leaving the head steady, that's also an option. And your balance to each side, center, head and knees. Bring the knees over the chest and give them a hug. You might rock a little bit from side to side now. Now you might either roll on a side or rock forward and backwards. Coming up to a seat. And then eventually even to a kneeling position. So I will use a blanket to cushion my knees, place the knees upon it. You're welcome to use a block, although this will end in a little flow. I'm starting to sit towards the heels. Hands might rest upon the thighs. If you need a block, have that between your feet. Sitting upright, Virajasana. Now bring the hands to the heart and take a breath in to lift the hips off the floor. Raise the heart, perhaps the gaze. Variation of the camel. And on the out breath, landing your hands down, coming to an all-four stance. Raising the right leg up on a breath in. And bringing the knee and the nose together on a breath out. Extending the leg again as you breathe in. Then lower the knee down. Perhaps step your hands a little forward. Lean towards a kneeling plank and slowly descend down onto the belly. Touching the tops of the feet down into the ground. Take an inhale to lightly lift the head and the chest. We start with the soft Cobra or Bhujangasana. On the out breath, release that down towards the mat. On the inhale, push the floor away as you return back onto all fours. You might now extend your right leg and swing it over towards the right. Perhaps the foot lands roughly where the knee is. And I'm suggesting a little funky movement. So you might lean a little bit forward and back, or you could even circle a bit. We will leave it at that for the first round. So then sliding the leg back, landing again on all fours. There's an option to draw the toes under and lift the knees off the floor for a downward facing dog. This down dog might need a bit of movement as the body needs to warm up. And then walking the feet towards the front side end of the mat or your knees if you chose to stay on all fours. Folding forward and down, Uttanasana. Fingertips might help against floor or shins, a half lift on the breath in. The out breath to fold back down. Keep knees soft And then exhale to uncurl your spine. A breath in to lift the arms up, perhaps even widening them as if you're embracing the full moon. Then bring the hands to touch, soften the knees, fold all the way down, stepping your knees back down onto the floor and retreating into a child's pose. This might be supported with arms, block, or even be a full child's pose. Taking a few breaths into your child's pose, drawing the awareness inwards as just your body is rounded, similar to the moon that might appear on the sky if it's clear. Next, out breath, uncurl. Again, you could use a block if sitting on the heels is a bit much, or even stand on the knees. If you can sit on the heels, rest the hands down towards your thighs. If the shoulders a little shrug as we return into our seated Virashasana. Then hands come back to the heart, lifting the hips up as you raise your sternum and your gaze, finding a kneeling back bend. On the exhale, let your hands land back down onto the ground. All four stands. Raising the left leg up as you breathe in. With the out breath, draw the knee and the nose together. On the inhale, lengthen the leg. Lunge the knee down. Step the hands a bit forward. Find your plank and slowly lower back to the belly. Cobra pose as you might lightly lift or rise up a bit further. On the out breath, soften back down. Take an inhale, coming back up onto all fours. Now taking your left leg out towards the side, perhaps foot lands next to the knee at the same height. And you could again create some nourishing movement. It could be a simple leaning forward and back, exploring what happens in the leg, in the pelvis, or it might even be a circular movement at this stage. Swinging your leg back down as you land again on all fours. Choice to stay or draw the toes under in a downward facing dog. You might at this point choose between moving it and holding it. And eventually bringing knees or feet forward to the front side end of the mat. Standing forward bend. On the inhale, lengthen the spine forward, half lift. The out breath to flow down. With knees soft, uncurl the spine on your next exhale. And you might again imagine you're holding the moon as you lift your arms. Then bring the hands back to touch and soften again to a forward bend. Stepping your knees back down onto the mat and softly retreating into a chosen child's pose. Now you can change this child's pose in any round to your liking. Hands might support the head, you might have it on a block. Arms could rest or even extend, and arms could be by the sides. If it's comfortable for you to have the full child's pose, you might think back about this full moon. The perfect roundedness. Let your breath settle, but keep breathing slightly deeper. On your next out breath, uncurl the spine, finding your chosen seated pose, hands back towards the thighs, if that's okay. Take a deep full breath in and out. Then touch the palms back to heart center. And inhale to lift the hips up, the sternum, the gaze for a slight camel pose. On the out breath, landing on all fours. On your in breath, extending the right leg back. On the out breath, drawing knee and nose together. On the in breath, extend the leg again. Now your choice to bring the knee down and the hands forward, or lift the feet, or lift the leg off the floor and still lower down onto the valley. Bhujangasana as you breathe in to lift your heart for this cobra. And out breath to lower. And in breath to push yourself up to all fours. Taking the right leg out towards the side, perhaps the foot aligns at the height of the knee. Now curl your spine up as you draw the hands towards your body. Open the arms up, palms looking upwards. One hand might rest in the side, that would be your left, or you could reach it up over the head as you lean into gate pose, turning towards your extended leg. Let the lower hand rest against it gently, and take a few breaths as your fingertips reaching across, or you're bending closer towards that side. Gaze here could be up or down. Then roll your arms shoulder forward. Bring the hands back onto all fours. Slide the leg behind. Land the knee down onto the ground. Option remaining on all fours or lifting to downward facing dog. Walking or sliding to the front side end of the mat. Standing forward bend. Half lift in breath. Out breath, fold back down. Uncurl slowly on your exhale. Embrace the full moon as you lift your arms. Join the palms of the hands, soften the knees and fold back down. Stepping knees back down onto the mat. Your chosen child's pose. Taking a few deeper breaths. Present perhaps within that light of the half moon, of the full moon. Curling up to sit on your next out breath. Hands might rest upon the thighs, taking a deep in and out breath here. Then bringing hands to join at the middle of the chest. And inhale to lift up the heart, the gaze for Ustrasana. The out breath to land back down onto all fours. Left leg extending on the breath in. And exhale to draw knee and nose together underneath. And inhale to lengthen, a choice to step hands forward, back knee on or off the mat, lower back down onto the tummy. And in breath for a cobra. And out breath to release. And inhale to lift back up onto all fours. Swinging your left leg out to the side. drawing the hands towards the body and curling up. As you might open your arms out wide, palms looking upwards into the gate as you lean towards the extended leg, or the hand might rest in your waist or be extended over the head, looking up or down as you take a few deeper breaths. Then slowly releasing the hands back down, the knee back down to all fours, and either staying here or transitioning to a downward dog. Once more, walking or sliding to the front end of the mat, folding forward to standing forward bend. And in-breath to a half lift. And out-breath to fold again. Uncurl the spine as your next exhale. And embrace the full moon as you rise. Bring the hands to touch. Slowly fold back forward and down. Last child's pose as you bring your knees back to the ground. And surrender. Let go, but be present with a slightly deeper breath. Notice if things arose in this first moon-themed sequence. Things that you were expecting of yourself that might turn out to be challenging. Or the opposite, being under-challenged, experiencing things as too easy. Maybe it was more about thoughts or sensations. As you might very slowly uncurl to sit, then bring your hands down, tuck toes under, lift knees as we come back to a forward fold, and an opportunity to very slowly uncurl the spine back towards standing. If the shoulders a little shrug this time. And I would ask you now to turn. So you might stand in the middle of your mat, but facing the long side edge. Mountain pose. The feet might be in a comfortable distance. Heels drawing inwards. Arms maybe forward. You might raise your arms up, touch the palms together. On the out breath, bending to one side. On the inhale, lifting up. On the out breath, bending to the other. On the in breath, lift back up. Now step your feet apart, create cactus arms, turn toes towards the corners of the mat, and bend your knees, finding a goddess shape. Now the goddess looks easy, but oftentimes we're in quite a back bend. Can you find ease around your pelvis? That bowl of water that doesn't tip, neither backwards nor forwards. Finding your inner strength in this goddess form. Then take a breath to straighten the leg and lengthen your arms. We're bending towards one side, perhaps your right, as you extend into a side bend, very close towards a triangle pose. So your gaze might be up or down. Then bend your knees and slowly swivel the back foot, starting to lean over the front leg. If it's possible to have that extended, please do. You might use a block here to support. Bit like a pyramid stance. Then raise the back heel and place the knee down to the mat. You might choose to lunge forward, but lengthen your spine. Now you could come up to stand a lot taller than I might do right now, if your hips or knees require. You might lift your back knee off the ground, and as you might stand a bit taller, you could place your forearm upon the thigh. Otherwise, you might sit down low, and we could all choose to come up on the heel of the left foot, finding a version of Skandasana, either forearm to the thigh or sitting quite low. You might then walk into the center. Same options here, forearms to the thigh for a higher stance, or bringing your feet closer and settling into Malasana, the yogic squat. We will change sides now for Skandasana. So same here, forearm to the thigh, coming to the heel of the foot, or perhaps sitting much lower and still being on the heel of the foot. Now, wherever you are, you might change your hands down to the floor and lower the back knee down to the ground. Starting to lunge forward while you might lift your spine. So be mindful, if you like to stay back with the hips, still lengthening the spine is an option. You might now tuck the back toes under, lift the knee, shorten the stance. Blocks are welcome, or hands could be higher, as you might fold towards your left leg. That take on the pyramid shape. Your back heel might turn in lightly, and you could either rest a hand into the side of the waist or raise your arm as you come towards the triangular form. Then bend into the front knee, lift your arms out to the sides, turn your toes towards the corners of the mat, and bend at knees and elbows as you settle into a goddess form. Where's that bowl of water sitting? Let's release the arms, step or wiggle your feet back to about hip distance. Taking a breath in to lift the arms. Palms of the hands might be touching. And you could choose to bend over to the other side now. Inhaling, lifting up. And exhaling, folding to the opposite. Inhale to lift up. And as you exhale, release your arms. Leave palms looking forward. You might choose to lower the gaze or close the eyes. Perhaps there's a gentle activation of the inner heels toward each other as you stand in the mountain. Find a few breaths. This was a full cycle of a moon salutation. You might blink your eyes open now. I will offer you a balance to complete the practice. So if you prefer to look back towards your screen, you could. And if you need some type of wall, please feel free to have that by your side. You might start with the lift of the right knee. Perhaps the heel can rest above the knee, not onto it, or below. See where you can get it. You might then take the opposite elbow and place it upon the thigh. Perhaps your chin can rest into the hand. We've done this before, so there's one more step if you insist, bringing the other elbow up and the chin into the opposite hand, and perhaps that ends up more in a dance than in a steady stuck position. For a moment of joy, stretch yourself out into a star. Even if your toes are tapping towards the ground, you can choose to float them or tap them down. Thinking about all the stars that so beautifully surround the full moon. And land the foot, release your arms, have a few little movements, then find steadiness again to breathe. As you maintain a steady gaze, raising your left knee in the same option. Place the foot or the heel anywhere but against the knee itself. Opposite elbow might come to the thigh, the chin into the palm of the hand. And if you're dancing with me, make it joyful. Perhaps the opposite elbow comes in as well, or it doesn't. And from this challenge, expand yourself. Take a deep breath, toes to the ground or off the floor. Spread your arms out. Spread the fingers out. Think about the night sky, sparkling star. Then release the foot down, relax your arms, take some gentle movements, deeper breathing. And we might take a big breath in to hold the full moon one more time. Then join the hands in front of the chest and slowly fold forwards and down, releasing your knees down onto the mat. I will now use a very heavily folded blanket to sit upon. And extending the legs out wide. You might place your fingertips behind you, flex the feet. Push fingertips into the ground as you lengthen. Let the shoulders relax. And you might then start to sway. Your hands could stay there, push you a little forward, or they might walk forward too. There's an option to keep the hands backed up behind you or bring them into the center. Knees could also be bent if that feels better for you. At this point, you might choose to close your eyes, keep the neck long, perhaps keep even lightly swaying, mindfully approaching this forward bend. Or you might find eventually some stillness wherever you are in this place, Upavista Konasana, wide-legged forward fold. Although this forward bend might feel challenging for some, there's a sense of openness. See where the breath takes you. Without thinking about what this looks like. Stay with your internal experience instead. If you were holding steady now, you might sway again. You could even walk the hands slowly towards the right and settle towards the right leg, perhaps hands on either side. Perhaps it's possible to keep the opposite side sitting bones grounded. As you could approach this form using again the internal experience. You might now lengthen the spine a bit, perhaps look at your toes, and then slowly, maybe as you're swaying a little, maybe you're just walking the hands across towards the left side and perhaps folding towards the left leg. Same here, explore. Is it possible to keep the other side sitting bones grounded? What does it feel like within? Is it possible to keep your feet active, toes to the ceiling? As you breathe in, lift halfway up. As you breathe out, bring the body back into center. With the hands at the front or fingertips lightly behind you, come back to that upright seated position. You might even lean a bit back and start to pull or help your feet up onto the ground. Placing now the soles of the feet together. As you wiggle into your space, you can choose to grab a hold of your ankles, or you might embrace your toes. For the Konasana, round angle pose or butterfly. Now notice how this feels, and yes, you can sway a little bit from side to side to find your place. But then perhaps keep a firm hold and take a deeper breath and lengthen your spine. And when you're breathing out, let the knees become a bit heavier. You might just stay here for a few breaths. You could even close the eyes or lower the gaze so that it's possible to be within yourself. Whether your knees come down close towards the floor or they don't. It's about what you experience within, that light stretch on the inner thighs, perhaps. However far or close your feet might be, you could now consider just leaning forward or gently swaying and moving forward. Same here, perhaps your eyes are closed, so there's no image that you need to oblige to or lean towards. Be with the experience, explore everything from within. Maybe it's possible to keep your knees quite heavy. Perhaps there's a need to adjust the distance between your feet and your torso. Now a long out breath to slowly uncurl, helping your knees back up and extending your legs out. You might need a little shuffle to get off your sitting support or just to loosen up the body. I will place my blanket back there so it's a cushioning for underneath the head. I would ask you before you come to lie down to place everything where you like it to be for relaxation, while I'm adding one more movement before we get there. So you might lower yourself down just as you came up with your knees embraced, or you might find your lengthen the seat and then roll your spine down so you come to rest down as well. Have little shuffles to ground the shoulders, the back, the hips. And then lift your knees back up over the chest. One hand to each kneecap, fingers in the direction of the toes. And a few rounds of Apanasana. As you inhale, extend the legs, move the knees over the hips, not extending the legs, the arms. And on the out breath, draw the elbows by your sides, pull the knees to the chest. So inhale, extend the arms, knees over the hips, and out breath to draw in with elbows by the sides. Repeat that for a few breaths. Noticing perhaps that rocking action that occurs over the pelvis. And if you like, could you then choose to extend arms overhead, legs to ceiling. Take a hold again, draw the knees back into the chest. This is just an option. Choose to extend or keep the previous movement going. Maybe there's one more round after this. When you hop back in, you might choose that little gentle rock over the back. Then landing the feet back down, the arms landing, and preparing yourself to come into Shavasana. You might choose a constructive rest, of course, if you need to protect your back, knees would be bent, feet wide and knees falling in, or you could use the bolster under the knees if you like to extend the legs. Finding either the steady gazing point towards the ceiling or closing your eyes. As you find steadiness, perhaps even stillness. As our body is material as well, you might like to detach arms, legs from other body parts. In the Bhagavad Gita it says, pleasures of the world have a beginning and end, and ultimately lead to misery. The wise do not seek happiness from them. So while we might use our time in this life and choose to be in this material world, we are necessarily engaging with the material. We might get some pleasure from it, but eventually that fades. Just like everything that is material is impermanent, keeps changing continuously. We can't hold on. So the Gita reminds us that while we are enjoying the sensory world, we need to be ever mindful that we do not become habituated, addicted, or dependent upon it. For if this occurs, we are no longer free. We enter bondage. We even become the slaves of the physical desires and come into suffering. Verse 6.4 in the Gita says, when you have overcome desire for sense objects, attachment to results, and have renounced the will of the ego, you will ascend to the state of union with self. Each of us must, through our own trials, come to realize that the external world, with all its material and sensory objects, can never provide what we really need. It can never provide true and lasting meaning and fulfillment. It can only provide temporary, fleeting gratification and relief, which ultimately turns into more suffering. So perhaps seek less the transient pleasures of the external world and discover all you are looking for within. To keep your focus within, Perhaps sense into your right foot. Then the right leg. Let the right leg be. Sensing into the left foot, the left leg. Letting the left leg be. Letting both legs be. Sensing now perhaps into the buttocks, pelvis. Letting that be. Sensing into the lower back, mid back, upper back, belly, chest. Right shoulder, left shoulder. Letting your torso be. Sensing into your right hand, the right arm. Letting the right arm be. Sensing into the left hand, the left arm. Letting the left arm be. Letting both arms be. Sense into the neck, the throat. The head itself. Face. Let the head and the neck be. You might now let your whole body just be. Letting be and letting go. Relaxing the physical completely. Perhaps there's a glimpse of yourself within. Before you return the awareness to the physical, the breath that flows, that connects you to it all. And as you deepen the breath, you might reconnect with the physical body, perhaps moving or stretching. Suggestion to bend the knees eventually and roll for a moment onto your favorite side. You might even give your knees a bit of a hug. For joining me in a seated position. As usual, you might join the palms of your hands to touch. From this awareness, bow and extend toward each other. Namaste.